Hi everybody, it's Kathy and Raspberry from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. I hope you're all doing well. Raspberry looks a little bit different than she did before. She's lost her foo-foo. Good Lord, with this great heat wave that we're all suffering. It was just too much hair and we had to give her first haircut, so she'll fluff back out, I'm sure. At any rate, this video is just going to be a quick showing of what I did to protect my cucumbers and other small plants from the start to right now, approximately right now. Please forgive me, I can't do live sound videos outside because during the times that I can film, there is just too much sound coming from local traffic and planes and stuff like that. So it'll be a voiceover. But I'll show you the fencing that I use and how one person can put it up, and I hope you enjoy it.
I start my seeds in little pots and bring them to the garden and use this row cover, which is a very light, airy material. My husband just took PVC bendable tubing stuff and cut it for me so I could hoop the row cover. I got it from Amazon. I'll leave a link below, and it is an affiliate link so that you know that. So I make a little something to help my channel out if you purchase on Amazon, but you don't pay more. Anyway, I use rocks to hold them down, and it does a great job for the early egg laying and little nibbling and all kinds of things that go on with your baby plants. So I'm just going to easily remove this row cover, and they are usable again. They last a few seasons if you're really careful and they don't get torn. So I'll just put it in the sun to dry out and fold it up and use it again. You can see the cucumbers as well as the other plants that I have in here are lying down. Some of them are already growing too tall for the row cover, but the cucumbers can be grown on the ground. That's their natural state. It's just that they're already all entwined, and then you have your cucumbers laying in the dirt, and they're going to compete with each other for sun, etc. So getting them off of the ground and putting them up on the fencing, which I'm going to put a tall fence on either side because I have two rows of cucumbers. One of them are the Boston pickling and the other one are the long salad type. Once I get those tied up, they'll have all the room they need to get sun without bothering, and it will allow other things to grow. This is my little fall bearing raspberry that I got. All of the things in here, by the way, came from the seed haul, Baker Creek. So this is the type of fencing that I'm using. I don't know what it's called, but you can find it at Home Depot and other hardware type stores. It has little hooks on it to hang, and on the other end there's this nice footing, and I usually bury at least till that's covered. It keeps the fencing from bending back and forth. Now here comes the really fun part. Mid-50s lady with a sledgehammer on top of a stool. No, I'm not wearing my pretty clothes. Stable shoes and loose clothing is the best I can do for this shot. And it's really hard. I'm short. I have to stand and raise a sledgehammer over my head. So, you know, in my mid-50s, I'm glad I can even pull this off. Forget about how I look. You might want to use a level to get the fencing posts into the ground straight, because that's really important. I'm going to leave these tall ones up permanently so that I can train the raspberries on them and use them again next year for the cucumbers. The fencing I'm using is actually this 4 foot by 50 foot, and it's coated and green PVC coating, and this is what it looks like. The little squares are just the right size to be able to hang things on and still be able to reach in a little bit. And this is not one of the most fun parts of the job, rolling out the fencing. And of course this whole thing would go better with more than one person doing it, but you know, you got to do what you got to do when you're by yourself and everybody's at work or whatever and you're insistent on doing it. Well, This is what has to be done. So once I get it rolled out to about the length that I wanted, I'm actually going to walk on it and flatten it. And then I come back and just use wire cutters. Don't you leave yours Stanley tools in the rain like I did. I gotta oil this up. And it's easy enough to cut with a decent pair of wire cutters. The bendability and the strength of this really helps in being able to shape it and do whatever you want with it. Now, again, this is a two-person job, but I'm going to do the best I can to get this standing up approximately where I want it, the whole length of the fencing. And I think I'm doing about 10, 12, 14, something like that, feet worth of length here as far as the length of the bed that I'm working on. So once I get it straight and hung up, at least on one of the hooks for each of the poles, and I try to pull it taut, I curve it around the edge a little bit, and then comes the task of trying to get each wire to match up with one of those little hooks. Easier said than done, but actually not too hard. As you can see, I'm putting this up fairly easily, and you may need a little pliers or something to get those wires shoved in there, but once they're in there, as long as the stake itself is strong, you're good to go. These wires are nice and strong and can stand up, but they're also pliable, and you want to be careful to look at your edges, any place where you have wires sticking out. A good pair of leather gloves, and easy enough to just bend those around so that they're facing a direction which won't catch your clothes when you walk by or hurt a little kid or something running through the yard. So make sure that you check for that. And I will be coming back and putting small, shorter posts in and putting chicken wire on the outer edge, and that's where I really get some protection from the rabbits, the groundhog. It's on the outside of the bed. It leaves a few inches of space so I can put my hand down in between, and I'm able to keep the smaller creatures from going in. I doubt that a deer would be stopped by any of this, seeing as I left the two edges, the two ends open, but I did that so I could just lift my leg over this 2 or so foot chicken wire and go right down that center row to do any work that I need. Haven't had too many problems with deer this year anyway. So I have used cotton string to gently attach the cucumbers and pull them up to the sides of the fence. And I put some rocks on the outside of that chicken wire so it's not easily just pulled out. I'm not going to bury it or anything. Don't want to do overkill here. It's just a small little bed, and I'm doing the best I can to protect it without spending a lot of money or a wicked lot of time to get the job done. So now you can see a little bit better the items that I have in here. On this end, I actually have zinnias and cosmos and marigolds. They are needed so that you have flowers to attract the bugs that you want to come and pollinate. My poor dill is tipped over because it tried to grow tall and couldn't under the row cover. But look at this. Within less than 10 days later, look at the growth. The zinnias are putting out buds, and they're ready to throw some flowers out at the perfect time because the cucumbers are flowering, and we're going to need to do some pollinating in this bed, and I'd prefer that nature did it instead of myself. There's the cosmos, another zinnia, chamomile right behind those, and there's the dill. Look, it now has flower buds on it. It's growing nice and tall, and it's going to be delicious with those Boston pickling cukes. This is a watermelon. I actually didn't thin them out, and there's 3 of them on each end of the bed. I love the shape of the watermelon leaves, by the way, but it's doing so well I'm having a hard time keeping it in the fence, which I will every couple of days go over and pull it back into the fence and try to direct it around and down that center. There's the Boston pickling cukes. They're growing nice and tall, and they look healthy and not eaten up by everything, and there's the salad. So from this with the row cover on it to flattened out, everybody's fighting for room and sun, in just an hour or so we go to this where everything's flourishing and the cucumbers are getting nice and tall, and they're lots of little flower buds on them, and there's great hope.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining us. I'll be back with more, hopefully, garden videos and arts videos. And I hope you're doing well and getting through this heat wave. Till next time, this is Kathy and Raspberry from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. God bless.